And I really had to date to see what I needed. And I really dated a lot. It was when I was engaged, and it was kind of a hit and run engagement. Once we were engaged, things kind of blew up in my face, and I was like, what do I do? I was sobbing, and I was like, how am I getting out of this? Like, I remember just like crying to Hashem.
All the people in my friend group got married, started having kids. I was the oldest of all the guys, and they all got married before me. I was literally the last one to get married. That's when I started feeling what's happening. I started feeling down. I remember sitting on the floor and crying and saying, Hashem, I can't do this. I cried for something. I'm not someone who cries. I cried for something, and Hashem answered it. And he answered it right away. I wouldn't change the timing of us. If we went out when we were first read to each other, I don't think it would have worked out. And knowing myself, I don't think I would have dated her again.
I was where I was meant to be all those dates and all those times and all those tears.
The people we were when we were first read to each other were very different than the people we were when we went out and the people we were when we got engaged.
Wow.
And like, as hard as our stories could be, that's what makes us grow. And like that's why we're the people we are when we met each other.
Welcome back to another special episode of Stories of Hope. Personally, this is an episode I've been searching for the last 6 months, and I am so excited that we can finally offer it to you. Special thank you to Bracha and Aharon for sharing your personal journey of what it was like navigating shidduchim in the yeshiva and Beis Yaakov world. For the first time, you're going to hear a firsthand account of everything that you've probably heard of, experienced, and might be struggling with right now. So sit back, relax, grab your friends, and get ready for another special episode of Stories of Hope. I am really excited to jump into today's episode, but before we start, I need to tell you about a mistake I made today. I went to Sephora and purchased a bunch of goodies. Guilty as charged, they were not on sale. I had a thought. Does PZ Deals also work with brands like Sephora? Sure enough, I opened the app and saw right there under the promo page was Sephora. I clicked on the little sign and saw that had I used the app, I would have received either free perfume or a makeup tote. It was my choice. How crazy. PZ Deals works with brands that you probably purchase from all the time. Some are Adidas, Nike, Saks Off Fifth, Lacoste. The list is pretty long. Gap, Old Navy, and all you need to do is download the app, check out the promo page, and find your favorite brand. It's also super cool because you can easily see if any of the brands are having sales instead of going to their websites or going to their stores, saving you time and money. So download the PZ Deals app, and with PZ Deals, never pay full price again. So you all know I'm a big fan of Raquel Couture, and I'm really excited because my friend is getting married. And in addition to having bridal gowns and wedding gowns, they also have evening dresses. So Raquel Couture caters to anyone. If you're the friend, if you're the bride, if you're the sister or the parent, they are the top industry for bridal wear. They customize, tailor, and have beautiful, unique pieces that are just sitting there, ready for you to try them on. Conveniently located in Brooklyn, New York, and Lakewood, it's just like the best place to go to. And what's super cool is if you mention Stories of Hope, you get 5% off your beautiful piece. So go someplace where quality is not compromised and service is top notch so that you can look as beautiful as you deserve to feel at Raquel Couture. Check them out on Instagram to see their beautiful pieces, and check them out in your local city or drive down there. It'll be worth it to find that perfect piece that you've been looking for. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. Thank you so much for coming in today. AJ and Bracha, hailing in from
Bayswater.
Bayswater. If you're Jewish, you heard of it.
Even if you're Jewish, you may not have.
You're right. I actually haven't heard of it until the last 3 years.
I feel like it's like the Baltimore of New York.
The Baltimore of New York.
Yeah.
Well, we're grateful to have you here in our Stories of Hope studio. So, Bracha, tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I grew up in Passaic. I'm from a big family. I have 4 brothers, and then there's the girl gang, which were 9 girls. So, when I tell you, my family moved to Passaic right before I was born. So we're like New York, but then New Jersey family. Always something going on, always a party. I went to Yeshiva Ketana of Passaic, now Benos Bracha, regular mainstream. Then I went to high school, actually out of town. For anybody from Rhode Island, shout out to you. Went to school there for 4 years. Then went to Maor for 2 years. Loved it. It was like a breath of fresh air for me. Regular, chill, fun. Loved Israel. Still dreaming to go back one day. And then dated for a while. And met my husband like 2 years ago.
Nice try. We're not gonna expedite it that fast. But,
fine.
But yes, you have been married for 2 years now, right?
Almost
2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Mazel tov. I feel like there's
Thank
no
you.
expiration date. No, we're always wishing
Yeah.
good mazel on to everyone. So
Yeah.
I remember the day I actually heard that you got engaged, and it was so exciting. And I thought, Bracha's so fantastic. Who is this man that was worthy? And nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you too.
I had the better end of the joke.
She did.
Well, thank you for that little background. Like out of town, local Beis Yaakov's, Maor, and then a little bit of a cliffhanger there until we get to your dating experience.
Yeah.
Aharon, tell us a little bit about your upbringing.
I grew up in Kew Gardens. Smaller family, only one of 8. Only. And I grew up a Chavetz Chaim family, so I would say a modern yeshivish. And I went to regular Tveres Moshe elementary school. High school, I went to a couple of the Chavetz Chaim branches. Sift of Roslin, it closed down when I was in 11th grade. And I went to Yama Torah for 12th grade. And then I went to Israel for 2 years. Then I went to Vancouver for a year. And then I went to Zichron Aryeh.
Okay.
And I've been there ever since.
I feel like every guy's yeshiva has at some point, like, and then it closed down. So then I went here. It's like, you don't typically hear that with girls' schools, right?
Right.
Like I went and then it closed down. I guess the guys are really like wrecking the places up. I don't know what's happening there. But like Chavetz Chaim background, you would say, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very Chavetz Chaim background. My father has smicha from there. My mother works in the office there.
Beautiful. So anyone that's listening that has a background that's similar to either of yours is thinking, oh, wow, a couple that maybe I can relate more to. And I'm really excited for you to bring us into what your dating experience was like. So let's start with you, Bracha.
So I guess I'll start right when I was like coming back from Israel, second time around after Shana Bet. Like I said, we're a bunch of girls, and the I have a brother above me, Huda, and then I have a sister above him. And she was like well into her dating years, not married yet. And it was like this underlying anxiety of, is Bracha going to start dating? Is she going to get engaged before me? What's that going to look like? And I was nervous about it because I didn't want to hurt her. But it was also like this unspoken rule at the same time of Hashem has his way of bringing everyone to their other half at the right time. And not rule, I don't know, whatever. It's just how it is in our family that like, if it's not meant to be in the order of 1 through 13 getting married, then it's okay. And even though it was hard, it's happened a few times to other siblings. I'm not going to get into it because I don't feel like it's my story to share, but it's just, it was like this underlying thing. So I'll just to cut it shorter, like it was kind of like, what's going to happen? And like, I spoke to her about it, and she wasn't running for me to date, obviously. Like, why should she want to put herself through that pain? And I was like, okay, so I'm going to wait a little. Like, I don't want to hurt her. And I did. And then she, like, I wasn't saying no to things, but I wasn't running into it. I was just like letting life take its course and like see where it would end up. And then she got engaged like a year or so later. Like it just happened. And I was so grateful. And I was like, okay, now's my time. And I was still very little.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
The concept of waiting before an older sibling gets married is something that's very popular in a lot of homes,
Right.
especially from the yeshiva world. And I wanted to know if we could explore the insecurity that's brought up when it feels threatening for a younger sibling to start dating before an older sibling is married.
So can you pinpoint the question?
Sure. That in many homes, there's this either spoken or unspoken rule that those shall not get married until older sibling gets married. And it creates a lot of pressure, anxiety, and probably interferes with the quality of the relationships of the siblings. So in your case, where you felt that feeling of, I don't want to start dating until my older sibling starts dating, I want to know what was behind that intention.
So I'll put it like this. Our society is the way it is and can't change people. I think we just have to like do our best to be sensitive to the situations we're put in and really think like, what does Hashem want from me in those moments? And what do I need? And balancing that, like balancing those two. It could be a very fine and extremely sensitive line. And I think many people who have older, younger siblings, whatever, in this dating period will, when this like time frame of dating, will experience it. And I think for myself, it wasn't told to me, you need to wait, which probably helped my decision. It wasn't coming from something you have to do or else. It was more like I saw how painful it could be somehow by like putting myself in her shoes. And I didn't want to hurt her. So I was like, Hashem doesn't want me to do that. I don't think that's what it is. So I'm going to try to wait. And I was like, I also call spade a spade. I wasn't running to get married. I wasn't like, I need this to happen tomorrow or else. I was like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to happen when it's going to happen. And it could be like, looking back, it was kind of my like, let's just see where life takes me. Like, it's okay. Let's just let go and let God.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, what would you tell a parent who has this rule in their home that younger siblings cannot date until older siblings get married? What might you tell them?
So it's uncomfortable for me to answer because I don't like to tell people what to do. But if I was that parent, I would say try not to play God and let your kids and like guide your children to foster a relationship where they can try to talk it out and have a conversation. And it turned to the flip side when my younger sister got married. And then another younger sister got engaged. And I was like, whoa, why is this happening to me? But that was the decision that I made for myself. And I couldn't expect it of everyone else. But I think that there's value in giving space to people to make their decisions. And it's adulting. Like, let them be.
Yeah.
If you're expecting them to go find who they're going to marry and make decisions, then it's part of fostering a relationship. It's very important.
And I think socially and culturally as a community, as you said, it's adulting, it's maturity, is having the clarity to recognize what has value and what doesn't have value. And when we set this standard that this is the way things are done, and I think the concern is if a younger sibling gets married, it decreases my value as the older sibling.
Right. There's this automatic pressure that's not conducive.
It's not conducive. As you said, we can't play God. And every person with their experiences, with their challenges they experience, this is part of it. And if anyone's listening and they are the older sibling and their younger siblings got married, I just want to make sure this statement is very clear, loud and clear to the parents, to the neighbors, to the aunts, to the shul goers. The person's value has not decreased because
1,000%.
their younger sibling got married.
Totally.
If anything, as a person, what they've had to work on because of the challenges they've gone through experiencing that, as a person, their value probably has become tremendously more significant.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You also can't tell someone when or to or not to get married. Like Hashem puts them in their place at the correct time. My younger sister got married before me, and this is the sister I'm closest to. And she got married to one of my good friend's brothers. My parents didn't tell me that she was getting engaged. Like the two parents talked, and they're like, "Oh, let's not tell the two of them until it actually happens."
Right.
And so I actually set up a date. And I set up a date. Okay, Sunday at 4 p.m. we're going out. And then I told my mother, I'm like, okay, I'm going out with so-and-so on Sunday. And she's like, hold on a minute. She hangs up. My sister calls me and goes, oh, I'm getting engaged on Sunday at 5 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm changing the time of this date. And she, Baruch Hashem, got engaged, got married. Her wedding was very hard for me, but I would never take it away from her. I would never tell her to wait till I was done, till I got married. Mm-hmm. I got married when I was supposed to get married. She got married when she was supposed to get married. It was very hard. I left early, but I still have to be a part of it. Mm. And she still has to be married when she gets married. Can't make her wait.
Yeah. I think what you're sharing is so powerful, which is just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad. And identifying what can I do to help alleviate any distress I'm experiencing is really important. They're your rules. It's your life, and it has to accommodate your needs. Are you comfortable expanding a little bit more on what was hard about it for you?
So I didn't think about it at all. Like it was, oh, good. My sister, who I'm closest to, is getting married. I'm very happy for her. The wedding was right here. So it's a 10-minute drive from my house, from my apartment. And I went there. I helped my brother. I helped everyone. And then in the middle of the wedding, I was just like, I was at a point where I was already not going to my friends' weddings. It was already getting hard for me overall. And it's just, I got that feeling like I was in the middle of dancing and I'm like, I can't be here right now. I'm feeling too much pain right now being here at the wedding. So I left the wedding. I went home.
And is there anything that you can think of that could have been helpful from someone who cared about you during that time?
I mean, if I had talked it out more, probably with my Rebbeim, I could have been more prepared for it. But I wasn't thinking about it. Me being a guy, I didn't think about it at all. And I just went in and I wasn't prepared. If I had thought about it beforehand, if I actually thought about my feelings, I could have been more prepared. But
yeah. I'm like hearing you talk and I'm thinking of just so many stories and so many people and my own experiences where there's opportunity for blessing, and yet we can feel so much pain. And it's one of the purposes of the podcast, which is, I think this episode is going to be a very supportive hug or tight squeeze for anyone that's thinking, that's me, that's how I feel, that's where I am. And I so appreciate you coming in to share your experiences.
Thank you.
We'll be right back to our episode, but first, you have to check out Pizza Biza, making fresh hot pizzas on the spot by their professional chefs, indoor or outdoor in their pizza ovens, meat or dairy, plus full catering around the tri-state area and Florida. Specializing in events with several hundred people with no lines. You heard right. Full menu. You have to check them out on Instagram at Pizza Biza and visit them at pizzabiza.com. Pizza's my favorite food, so please invite me, Pizza Biza, on Instagram and check them out at pizzabiza.com. These are the people you want to call. Pizza Biza, I'll see you at my next event. If you've ever wanted something more than anything in the world, then you've probably tried a segula or two. And if you're anything like me, then you've been dejected and disappointed when it seems like it didn't work. And that's why I love this organization called Better Than a Segula. Like their name, we learn on Simchas Torah, Ein Segula Ketorah. There is no better segula than Torah study. What this organization does is they have a group of Torah scholars that will learn something on your behalf in the zuchus of what you want. And even better, the entire process is personalized. So you can study a certain daf in the Gemara for 40 days, whatever you want, whatever speaks to your heart, whatever you connect to, you can let them know. So if this is something that you would find supportive, inspiring, and encouraging, you can contact them by either clicking the show notes below or take out your phone and call them at 732-364-7029. That's betterthanasegula.org, Better Than a Segula, an organization that's there to support you in the way that they know how to and in the way that they can. Let's actually start with you, Aharon. Tell us how old you were when you got married and tell us a little bit about what your dating experience was like.
I was 30 when I got married. I started dating my first date. A friend of mine called me. It was Motzei Shabbos. I had college work on Sunday, and I'm doing last minute homework. And I get a call from my friend. I have the perfect girl for you. She's in my house. She spent Shabbos with us. It's my wife's friend. She spent Shabbos with us. Come pick her up, go out on a date. And I said, no. No, I said, I'll think about it. And his response was, I know you. If you're saying you think about it, it's never going to happen. So I planned a date just now. Come, this is what you're doing. Pick her up now and go. And so he convinced me. I went, and that was my first date.
And what was your expectation of what dating would be like, and what was the reality?
I always expected that I'm a bit of a catch, and a date.
Yeah, you are.
A date, I never really thought about like how my dating would go, but I figured I'm going to start at 23, 24. I'll probably be married by 26. Right? A few years, date a few people. I had one brother, I have two older brothers. One of them got married to the first girl he dated. The other one got married to, I don't even know what number, but a lot. He dated a lot. And he got married older also. But I always figured I was more likely to find the person who I was going to meet sooner. And then it just didn't happen. So at the beginning, I took my dating slowly. I went out with this girl. We ended up saying no. I waited a little bit. I was still in college. I was still like doing a lot of things. I went out with someone else every so often. I didn't like going through shadchanim. So I preferred to go through friends, to go through people who know me, who know the girl. And so I'd get a lot of resumes from my rebbeim, from friends. And I'd look at them. And I'd say, okay, this one makes sense. Let's put it on the maybe pile. This one doesn't make sense. Let's put it on the no pile. You
probably thought, like many other people, I'll start dating when I want to, and then I'll get married when I want to. And exactly. I have no reason to believe that should not work.
Right.
And I say the word should not work, meaning according to our standards, because everything's always working according to God's standards, which are perfect. And then when that doesn't happen, we're so unprepared. And I think the reaction from community is like, you must be doing something wrong, or maybe there's something wrong with you. And it's so hard to adapt when our expectation isn't what it seems to be. And you're bringing me back. I mean, I'm here. I'm still here, but you're bringing me back. Bracha, can you tell us a little bit about how old were you when you married Aharon?
I was 27.
Yeah.
And everything's a blur, mom brain. I just was thinking about something as you were talking, AJ. It just what you're saying reminds me of how when I was in those years of dating, and like it brings me back because I feel like so many people experience this. So I hope this reaches someone that commiserates with it or feels validated by it. But I remember asking my sisters, like, guys, am I crazy? Like, just let me know. Just let me know. Like, do I need to get myself checked out? Do I need to get myself checked in? Like, just let me know. Like, because I feel nuts. And after dating and dating and dating, and like there were some wackos, and there were like everybody has those stories. Like there's some like they would show up and they're nice people and moving on, whatever. And then there's some of them just like, why am I even being read to this person? Like, what's wrong with me? And I guess like looking back, it was just another way of leaning in and being like, okay, this is where I need to be right now. And it's so much easier said now because I have that like 20/20 vision, but like I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it. I was where I was meant to be all those dates and all those times and all those tears and all those interesting ones and fun ones. There were fun ones along the way. Gotta give credit to the guys who planned some good dates. But yeah.
That's one thing I've said to Bracha a lot. I wouldn't change the timing of us. I don't think, I've said to her before, if we went out when we were first read to each other, I don't think it would have worked out. And knowing myself, I don't think I would have dated her again.
How come?
The people we were when we were first read to each other were very different than the people we were when we went out and the people we were when we got engaged.
Wow.
And like, as hard as our stories could be, that's what makes us grow. And like that's why we're the people we are when we met each other.
I'm thinking about how comforting it would be if when someone went on a date and it didn't work out and they're dating consistently, and again, according to our plan, it's not seemingly working out, how comforting it would be to get reassurance of, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with you. It's going to happen. I know it's so difficult, but it's going to work out. Doubt.
Amazing.
We doubt.
We need that on our mirror.
Yeah. Like I think Dow and FS, which is like nothing, and Malik, I think they have the same numerical value because doubt is so destructive, like Malik, that it can drive us nuts. And if anyone's feeling doubt, they can always go to a therapist. They can always go to a mentor. It's always great to do an assessment and evaluation, but don't let other people's judgment create that doubt because it makes the challenge you're in so much more difficult.
Totally.
And if you're someone listening and you know someone's single, be so cautious before you say anything that increases that doubt.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I'm very pro therapy now that you're bringing it up. And AJ's also, we're not like opposed to it. We've both been through it at some point or another. And I think that what you're saying is just an extra bonus because we're surrounded by the people in our social circles the most. And sometimes those are the most damaging comments we get.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And I hope this episode alleviates it and makes it a little easier. So what I want to hear, what I want to hear is, as we know, life isn't linear and we're always growing in different ways and it looks different at different times. While the two of you were dating, what was your growth like spiritually, and how did that affect the dates that you ended up going on?
So I started before COVID, a few years before COVID, and I've always been a very spiritual, follow my Rabbeim type of person, and I always had my Rabbeim were there for me to talk to. And my first dates, my first bunch of dates, I'd talk to my Rebbe when I felt the need. I had three Rebbeim I would talk to, depending on what I was looking for. And I'd talk to them, I'd think to myself, and I'd go on and say, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. And then I would look at the next girl and say, okay, does she seem like she has this? And it was just for me, it was very much a speak to my Rebbeim. At one point after COVID, I was back in yeshiva and I was speaking to my Rebbe, the Rosh Yeshiva, Rebbe Shaya Cohen, every single morning for 10, 15 minutes. And that made me grow spiritually as a person immensely. And that also helped keep me grounded and not get oh no, I'm turning 26, I'm turning 27. I always had that year's worth of mornings talking to my Rebbe every morning about anything from Batachon to my day to something going on in yeshiva. And I was always able to go and look back at that and take what I learned there and know Hashem's doing this. It's gonna happen when it happens. And for years, that's what kept me sane while dating.
Staying connected to your
Connected to
Rebbeim.
my Rebbeim and remembering it during the dates, after the dates. If a date didn't go well, I was always had that connection.
Mm. It's still difficult even with the connection.
Right.
Imagine if someone doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is that connection is what gives you strength to get through challenge. And the natural reaction is when we're in challenge, we disconnect from the source of our strength. So thank you for
those
sharing.
moments that are hard.
Yep.
Right.
What about you, Bracha?
I would say I had certain values that were important to me and things that I wanted to know that I was getting and whoever my better half was. But I think it was more subconscious, and I really had to date to see what I needed. I didn't know when I first set out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was so open-minded. And I really dated a lot. And I was engaged. I had a few serious relationships. And thank God they didn't end up in anything further than that, because I'm just grateful for where I am today. What else can I share about that journey that I think is important? Because I feel like I'm kind of brushing over it. Could you help me out?
Sure. If you're getting married or know someone getting married, let's talk about one of the most meaningful parts of a Jewish wedding, the kesubah. For some people, you may have seen it just as a regular piece of paper, but this is actually a symbol that represents the harmony, the beauty of your relationship. Ketubah.com takes your kesubah and turns it into the beautiful piece of art that it really is. With over 500 different designs and artists from all over the world, you can personalize the perfect kesubah of your dreams with a team that works intimately with you, making sure that your design and your words are exactly what you want. Ketubah.com guarantees a kesubah that's probably better than you even dreamed. Get this beautiful design as a gift or for yourself from Ketubah.com. For so long, we've been taught to believe that you need to wait for things to change in order for life to get better. And you deserve to live the life of your dreams before things change. And that's what Live Better Academy is here for, enabling you to enrich your life by exploring the 5 core areas that contribute to your fulfillment and happiness. This course is here to make sure that you no longer need to wait. Exploring spirituality, health and wellness, recreation and soul, social support and environment, and your profession and ambition, my course helps you understand what you're missing, explore any gaps that need areas of improvement, and truly understand what you need to do to create the life that you deserve. It's a 5-week course, so you have to be fully committed. But the easy part is that it's all virtual. You can access it anywhere and anytime. It includes pre-recorded classes, intense coursework material to take the information, turn it into application, and ultimately transformation, and a live group class, which includes me and your peers. It's truly extraordinary, and I want you to be a part of it. So if you're interested, click the link below to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if it's the right fit for you, or send a quick text message to the number below to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. I cannot wait to meet you and be on this journey with you so that you can finally live life better. The more time passes that we're away from seminary, from school, from, I would say even like community-oriented activities, I think the more difficult it is to be on par with previous religious and spiritual goals. And I'm wondering, while you were dating and getting suggested to different people and maybe told like, well, that's not really a value that you should have anymore, or now you're getting older, people aren't really like that anymore. I'm wondering how it affected your own relationship with Hashem, with Judaism.
So it's interesting because I didn't really get comments like that. I got more the most random suggestions. And for me, I had to say no. It was more of saying no to the things that didn't seem right to me, even if someone was someone I was close to or someone that thought they knew what was best for me, and they'd just be like, oh, try it, like what you're saying, like try it, let's see, whatever. And I'm like, I don't see it, but let me give it a shot. And like I said before, I don't want to regret it. I don't. I just look at it as like, okay, I had to date that one. Another kapara in the bucket. Like, whatever. But I think what really helped me is really living life. I really went on vacations. I went to the Ohel. I worked at the ranch. And I still do. Like, I just found things that were meaningful and filled me up. Because Hashem didn't want me to be in a marriage and in a relationship yet. And I needed to fill myself up with things anyway, just because I wasn't at that stage. And I think that, like, I guess just a few pointers would be, don't wait for life to happen to you. Live life. Like, don't go in survival mode. That's not good. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good on a date. Doesn't look good for yourself. It just doesn't look good. Live your life. If it looks different than what you imagined, find other things that will fill you up. There's so much out there, and there's so much goodness at your fingertips. Find what is meaningful for you and grab it and run with it.
Could not agree more. Were you able to have that belief the whole time?
No. No, not at all. I think I had major ups and downs, and there were moments I was literally crying to my sisters. I'm like, guys, I just need a fun date out. I don't want to be on a date with a random guy right now. Can we just have a girls' night? And we did that all the time, like randomly as needed. Or I would book a random vacation, or I would be like, you know what? I don't know, don't judge me if you're a saver, but like, I would just be like, you know what? These are the times where I don't need to be saving for a house, or I don't need to be paying rent. I thank God, live at home. I don't have crazy expenses, and I lived.
Yeah.
Live life. Just live.
That's very comforting to hear that, because like you said, hindsight's 2020. Someone listening can think that's such a great idea, but right now I'm in pain. And I wanted to know if you could reflect back on a moment where you had a big low while you were single.
Yeah.
Of fear and worry, and share what was going through your mind, and then we'll bring it to you, Aharon.
Okay, so it was when I was engaged, and it was kind of a hit and run engagement. I dated for a while, and then once we were engaged, things kind of flew up in my face, and I was like, what do I do? And it was in those moments where I had to call a gadol and say, what do I do? And it's uncomfortable, but it's the direction I needed at the time. And through the help of one of my sisters, shout out to you, you know who you are, was like, here's the number, call. And I did. And I was sobbing, and I was like, how am I getting out of this? Like, it's like you're in those moments sometimes and you don't really realize what's blaring you in the face until it's like a siren. And then I remember just like crying to Hashem, and I was like in the car driving somewhere listening to music, and I was like, you know what, Hashem, this is really not my problem. I was like angry at him. I'm like, excuse me, like, take it back. Like, deal with it. This is not my problem. I worked really hard. I feel like I'm doing all the right things, and I just like can't anymore. And like, it was very hard for me, and it was at that time, and I really felt like I had like everything that I thought was the right thing, like taken out from under me. And I remember telling one of my friends, I'm like, it's like a balloon. Like, you're in a relationship that you think is amazing, and I was like engaged. I was like on top of the world, and then it like popped and like it's deflated. I'm like, you don't really know what you're missing until you have it blown up and inflated. And like to anyone out there who just goes on the path of like meeting their husband and that's who their first engagement is, I'm so happy for you. And to anyone who has been in a situation like I've been in, so I'm sharing this out of vulnerability, but also hoping that it reaches you in a sense that it helps you. Just know that it could be so much better. And in those moments, it's hard and I don't want to take away from it. It's also, for me, something that guided me to realizing what I actually need and not what like might look good or might seem fun or exciting or all the things that like in vain look cool. But stick to your values and know that Hashem's running the world, and letting go and letting God is the best anxiety pill that's out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I did papers on this in grad school because I couldn't imagine having to go through the challenges I've experienced without knowing that there's always a plan, without feeling like God is taking care of you. It's easier to hear when we're not in the pain. It's more difficult to hear when we're in the pain.
No one wants to hear it.
But I find that when we share our pain, when we share our vulnerabilities, it normalizes everyone's individual experience because they realize they're not alone, that this is the norm of life. It's so challenging. It's so hard. And the more we normalize that it's challenging, I think the less challenging it feels, the less burdensome it seems.
Yeah.
Aaron, can you share? I'm sorry, sometimes we have Aaron, sometimes we have Aarons. Can you share a story that comes to mind when you think of a time when it was just so hard and you kind of felt stuck?
So most of my time was I didn't feel so hard. I only started feeling hard after all the people in my friend group got married, started having kids. I was the oldest of all the guys, and they all got married before me. I was literally the last one to get married. And even that, it was all my friends. I was so happy for them. It didn't bother me. But then the beginning of one of the yeshiva years, there was someone had a kiddush for all the yeshiva guys. And at the kiddush, one of the yeshiva rabbeim, who was a close friend of mine, he spoke and he looked around and he said, "You guys are the older guys in yeshiva." And I looked around and I said, "The next oldest guy here is 3 years younger than me. I'm the oldest guy in yeshiva by a few years." And that's when I started having feelings of like, what's happening? I started feeling down. And then later that Zaman, the yeshiva had a fundraiser and they had Yaakov Shweki come.
Mm-hmm.
So after the fundraiser, they had him come and do a small kumsitz at yeshiva. And at the end of the kumsitz, someone mentioned to him, "Oh, there are 4 chassanim in the room." So he said, "Oh, 4 chassanims," and we sang Mazel Tov, sang whatever song it was. And that moment, that killed me. I was like, 4 guys who I'm friendly with. And it didn't bother me yesterday. But to now have in public, "Oh, we're celebrating these 4 guys," it killed me. And I remember going from the dining room in the building, going outside, going around to the side of the building, sitting on the floor and crying and saying, "Hashem, I can't do this. I need you to step in and do your thing." And then to close off the story, 2 years later, Yeshiva had a big dinner and the musical singer had to cancel last minute. They ended up getting Joey Newcomb and Yaakov Shweki. And so I went over to Shweki after and I said, 2 years ago, you came to Yeshiva for the kumsitz. It was very painful for me. I went to the side and I cried. And I said, "Hashem, I need you to help me. I can tell you now, my wife is about to give birth."
Mm.
And it was just like that. I cried for something. I'm not someone who cries. I cried for something and Hashem answered it.
Mm.
And he answered it right away.
And what would you tell someone listening who, firstly, thank you so much for sharing that. What would you tell someone listening, a guy who's like, I'm in that pain now. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And Hashem, I feel like I can't do it anymore. What might you tell him?
I'd say, tell Hashem that. Hashem listens to you. I've said for years, we say Ani Mamim, we believe Hashem because he controls everything. And then we also say Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Our Father comes first, because if you're in pain, you turn to your Father, and your Father gives you everything that he can give you. But remember, Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Hashem is our Father. He's the King. And he's our Father. Our Father comes first. He gives us everything he can. He's Hashem. He can give you everything. There's no limit on him. Turn to him and say, Hashem, Abba, I need it. And he'll give it to you.
What if you feel like he's not giving it to you?
Everything takes time. You never know what he's giving you when. There's a reason for everything. We don't know it, but there is a reason, and it will come. And just know, you have to know. You have the bitachon that it's going to come. And whatever time it is, it will be at the perfect time.
You know, these ideas are foundational for healthy living. And we can never stop practicing them in any way, whether that's an alarm on our phone, daily learning, sharing stories of hashgacha. I mean, I do all those things, and I just got a bracelet made that says Emunah, not because I'm like there and wholly far from it, but because I need as many reminders as I can get. And what you're highlighting is the pain can only be comforted when we remember and believe that Hashem is taking care of us and holding our hand through all of it.
Right. It's the joke of the guy looking for a parking spot. He circles the block 3 times and he says, Hashem, I need help. And the car pulls out and he goes, oh no, I don't need it anymore. I found the spot. You have to realize, see that story in you. Everybody has that story. You have to see the story and notice and realize, oh, wait, Hashem pulled that guy out of the parking spot for me. Of course. He does it. He does the small things. If he's doing the small things, who else is going to do the big things? It's only Hashem.
The small, the big, and everything in between.
Exactly.
As you're hearing this bracha, what's it bringing up for you?
How grateful I am. Thank God. Thank God.
And someone that's listening, again, a woman listening who, feels like they relate to you so much. Maybe they even went to Ma'ar and they're thinking, like, I want that, but I'm struggling to believe it will happen. What might you say to them?
I would say this might be hard to hear, but try to practice the things like you said. For you was getting an Emunah bracelet. For me, it's like a few months ago, I was bugging because I wasn't feeling so grateful and I wasn't feeling so connected. So I started like a chat. Someone actually told me that someone they know does this, where it's like, write down 10 things a day that you're grateful for. Like practicing these little things helps us get back to where we want to be. And it's not something that I do every single day now, but I feel like for those few weeks that I was practicing it, it really helped me pull myself back up. And whatever it is, it could be like for us, we found this random game in Target on a good time.
Yeah.
It's like the We're Not Really Strangers game. And it's like about keeping the spark alive, I think it's called.
It's called 365. It's you scratch off card 1 question a day. And it's something about when you were dating, like to bring back the memories of when you were dating, when you first knew each other.
Because like I was someone that like wrote things down after every date and whatever, but like I don't look at it every day. So here it's like a fun game that like again, we don't do it every single night,
Mm-hmm.
but the random times we're like, oh, let's pull that out. And like, it's like a lottery thing. You like look at it, scratch it off, talk about it, write it down. I don't know, do whatever you want to do. And it's just like these things that when we practice it, it helps us live it.
Yeah.
And it's important. And I'm not saying you have to commit to life to doing it, because that sounds daunting and hard. Like for me, at least, I'd be like, what? I have to do this every single day now, forever? Like, huh? That's hard. Take it one day at a time. See where it takes you.
Mm-hmm. And I
like
think,
anything you want to add to your routine.
Yeah. And what you're highlighting is there's always something to do when you're feeling in despair. It's about being intentional and consistent in order to help you get there, which is so hard to do because when we're in despair, when we're in pain, we usually have very black and white thinking. Everything is awful. Everything is bad, which is why science and psychology always tell us practice gratitude, because when we start to practice it, we start to notice that things aren't all or nothing, and it chemically releases dopamine, feeling good chemicals that help. So if anyone heard this and thought, no, it can't be that simple. It can't just be I practice gratitude. It's actually very simple. It's just often when we're feeling emotional that things seem complicated. Right. So I'm really glad that you shared that. And
we made a WhatsApp group a year ago or so, 8 months ago, that the title is something along the lines of Hashem's kindness every day. And we don't write in it every day, but it's, something nice happened to me today. Put it in. Mm-hmm. Hashem helped me this way. Mm-hmm. It could be as easy as the green lights. I was coming home one day. Normally it takes me 15 minutes to get home from where I am. And it took me 10 minutes because I hit every single green light coming home.
It's the best.
And I got home.
Yes. It's just Hashem saying like, hey, I love you a little extra today.
But you have to look for it. Otherwise you can just be like, it's freezing outside. I need to get home. I'm running late. Why is it dark? Blah, blah, blah.
It's not even Hashem saying, I love you extra today. It's Hashem saying, I love you today. And he says that every day.
Yeah.
All the time. And it's just realizing that he's saying it to you.
Yeah.
And trying to identify it.
And I challenge everyone who's listening that after this episode, you say, okay, God, I'm ready. Karov Hashem l'chol karav l'chol asher yikru v'emet. That God is close to all of that, God is close to everyone who calls out to him sincerely. So I challenge everyone to say, I'm ready, Hashem. I want to see you. I want to see you. Yeah. Help me see you.
Right.
Help me see you. And if you ask and you look, it trains your brain to see. That's also neuroplasticity.
So true.
The more you train your brain, the more you practice, the more naturally it will be. So we've given everyone a lot of homework in this episode, a lot of validation. Of course.
Stories of hope.
Absolutely. You wouldn't be here if I didn't think it would be hopeful. And I'm just so grateful that the two of you came in to be so open and honest. And if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out, we'll put your email addresses in the comments below. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart and soul.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for watching another special episode of Stories of Hope. If this episode touched you in any way, let Bracha and Aharon know. They'll be looking in the comment section to see how meaningful it was and what your thoughts were. Simply drop a comment below so that you can leave an impact and give back a little bit of what was given to you. If you have any ideas, questions, or comments and want to let us know, we love hearing from you. Reach out to us at soh@meaningfulminute.org. Once again, thank you for being a part of our community, and I can't wait to see you next week.